Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and I hope you guys are doing great. Thanks a lot for watching my other videos, liking it and commenting on it, right? It's been a really great help. And obviously it's I mean, how would I say, when I see the data, almost 90% of the people who watch my video have still haven't subscribed to my channel. So I would request you guys to please do that because it's really helps the channel and it really helped me to do this work, right? So let's get into it. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a company called BLS International Services Limited. So we are going to go through their recent result and the full year result and the con call summary and understand the main and the most important points. And before we get into that, right, I'll just tell you a brief about what the company does, right? So the company is mainly into visa and consular services. So over here, what they do, right? They outsource these visa services from these countries, right? They take the contract from them and then they do the whole process, right? Where the people submit their application, they come and submit the document, they do all the work, and then they send the passport to the how to say, to the actual consulate, and then they stamp the visa or they grant the visa. So all the other work, right, has been outsourced to BLS, and that's what they do. And if you look at them, they are one of the top two providers of visa, passport, and consular service. So that is their main business. And if you look at the other part of the business, right, so they have this something called as digital businesses where they provide services in terms of loan distribution, business correspondence services, e-governance, all those things, right? So that is the second part of their business. So this is their main business model. But and if you actually, their core business still remains the visa and consular service. How to say, visa and consular services, which still contributes to majority of the revenue. At the same time, that is the biggest how to say, profitability segment also for them. So let's look at their recent numbers, right? So if you look at their Q4 FY26 result, the revenue grew by around 17.6% to 815 crores, and PAT was up by around 20.7%, 287 crores. If you look at the FY26, the YOY revenue increased by around 36.7% to 2,998 crores. I mean, we can write it off to 3,000 crores, and PAT was up by almost 34% to 724 crores. And if you look at the PAT margin, right, it's one of the highest. The PAT margin stood at around 34.1%. And so that was the main number. And if you look at their revenue as per their segment, right? So the visa contributed to around 1,840 crores, and they were it grew YOY only by 11.3%. And if you look at the digital business, it grew, it contributed around 1,158 crores, and that's where the main revenue, growth came from, because it grew by almost 114% YOY, right? So if you look at their business at this point of time, yes, the main business, main segment visa is growing, but at a very nominal or a okay or a decent rate. But the majority of the growth is coming from the digital businesses. So it's, how to say, it is, in one way it is a good sign because it provides the growth, but at one way it's challenging also because the margins that they get from digital businesses are not that high compared to the visa business. So the revenue might be increasing from their perspective, but in terms of the margin, it is not contributing as much. So if you actually look at overall to overall, it might dilute the margin from that perspective. I think that is one of the thing that's why people are staying away from this. I might be wrong, but that's what my analysis tells me. And if you look from the FY26, what they did good, right? So they got the order from the Aadhaar organization, which is UIDAI, for work of almost 2,000. They won an order of around 2,055 crores. This is part of the digital businesses. For at the same time, they won big contracts from Minister of Economic Affairs in India, where they got 3-year visa outsourcing, then 5-year global visa outsourcing from Republic of Slovak, and then visa outsourcing for Cyprus. So in their first business segment, which is visa and consular service, right? As I said, their main business depend upon the outsourcing, right? And the contract, how longer that they have. So winning these contracts are definitely good for the business. And in terms of impact of the geopolitical situation, right? So the management said as of now, they have not seen much impact. They still see the volume growing and coming. They will, and there were a lot of questions asked, what about for the Q1? What will be the impact? They said as of now, they don't see much impact. But obviously, we have to wait and see the numbers, what the management is saying, and what the numbers will come. Will they actually relate to it or not, right? So that is their overall result for the whole year. And if you look from the next year perspective, the management had said that they are giving a growth guidance of around 20 to 25%. So if you actually look, the growth rate compared to the previous years is coming down, but 20 to 25% is still a good growth rate, personally, if you ask me. And over here, obviously, growth has to come in terms of expanding the business, right? So let's see what are they doing in terms of expanding or trying to increase their revenue. If you look at from the acquisition perspective, they have one acquisition coming up for this year, and they have actually kept 2,000 crore as a capex to acquire businesses in the next 4 to 5 years. So if it looks like that majority of their revenue growth, is going to come from acquisition and not, not mainly from the internal businesses. So as I told earlier, right, the Aadhaar order which they won for around 2,000 crores, right? So the management said that the revenue will be divided over the period of 5 to 6 years. So they are already setting up the offices and all the work. And once it's up and running, the revenue will start accruing to them. So if I look at this business, right, this business is solid in terms of it will definitely not close down or go away. But at the same time, the growth is there of 20 to 25%. But if you look at the segment wise growth, right, majority of the growth is coming from the digital business side. And I think that's where the challenge could be, right? Because even though the revenues might grow, the margins might get diluted because the visa is not going that way, because visa has a biggest margin which contributes to their profit. I think that could be the only challenge. Otherwise, if you look in terms of overall business, it's a good business. It's a asset light business, and especially it does not have to sell the product and then get the payment. Like other companies over here, the people who are applying for the visa, they have to pay upfront, and then they provide the service. So it's always how to say cash positive. So in terms of overall business, it looks good, but in terms of value, we have to wait and see how does it increases, especially in terms of their margin. Because if the margins keep on diluting, that could be a challenge for them, even though the business is growing. If you guys like this analysis, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless you.